All right, let's jump right into this explainer and break down the narrative architecture of paper crowns and city lights. If you follow romance mechanics at all, you already know a well-executed trope isn't just some tired cliché, it is quite literally a masterclass in structural storytelling. And this source material, it gives us the absolute perfect blueprint for that classic grumpy meets sunshine fake dating pipeline we all know and love.
So to really understand the mechanics of this story, we first got to ask ourselves, why does this specific, highly structured formula of pretending to be in love keep us so hooked from beginning to end? I mean, why do we absolutely eat this up? Well, it essentially boils down to forced proximity and escalating vulnerability, all kept within a safe, heavily defined boundary. When you toss two total opposites into a pressure cooker and slap a strict set of rules on them, the audience is basically just sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for the explosion.
To see exactly how this works, we're going to dissect the anatomy of this genre by walking through the 5 essential stages of the fake dating pipeline. 2 different worlds, the fake dating contract, blurring the lines, the contract leaks, and finally, the grand gesture. We'll be using Maya and Elias's journey as our prime case study today.
Okay, let's move right into our first structural beat. Stage 1, 2 different worlds, also known as the meet-cute.
The stakes here are established right out of the gate. Picture this. On one side, we've got Maya. She's working double shifts at a diner just trying to pay for county nursing school. She's grounded, gritty, perpetually exhausted, but still deeply optimistic. And juxtaposed right against her is Elias Thorne. He's a billionaire CEO whose 26th floor empire is built on sterile efficiency, cold hard data, and frankly, the systematic dismantling of his rivals. So you've got Maya surviving in the frantic tide of the city, and Elias sitting way above it all in this glass fortress, having completely optimized human emotion right out of his life.
Their meet-cute is catalyzed when a massive Chicago thunderstorm forces Elias to take shelter in Maya's diner. He skips all the standard social pleasantries, aggressively demands a phone charger, and then literally trips over a mop bucket and shatters a pot of coffee. But instead of groveling to the billionaire, Maya just completely shatters his untouchable reality with this fantastic, grounded sass, basically telling him to check his privilege at the door. What you should really take away from this is that Elias hasn't been spoken to like this in years. To him, she is a complete glitch in his perfectly calibrated reality.
And that brings us to stage 2, the fake dating contract. So, Maya makes this intimidating trek up to Elias's 26th floor office to return a highly sensitive titanium tablet that he dropped at her diner. And this is where Elias structures the relationship. He's under massive pressure from his board of directors to stabilize his volatile public image. Plus, he really needs to ward off his ex-fiancée, Juliana. So what does he do? He drafts a purely transactional relationship narrative. Get this, it's entirely tactical. We're talking a strict 1-month performance, specific black-tie dinners, a mandatory Hamptons retreat, and absolutely zero genuine affection. In exchange, Maya gets a substantial financial payout, enough to cover her nursing tuition and finally let her breathe. To him right now, she is literally just a business expense.
But here's the kicker. Maya doesn't just accept being a prop for his board. She actually demands autonomy and sets her own counterterms right there in his pristine office. She insists she's going to speak her mind, she's going to wear what she wants, and most importantly, she demands genuine respect. This proves to the audience, and honestly to Elias, that she absolutely won't lose her identity in his cold world of obsidian and glass. The power dynamic completely balances out before they even sign the dotted line.
Of course, forced proximity always leads to sparks. Let's look at stage 3, blurring the lines. We see the whole grumpy sunshine dynamic aggressively tested here. Initially, Elias speaks like this cold, rigid CEO delivering boardroom threats just to keep his walls up. He explicitly warns her that in his world, contracts are for survival and strictly forbids her from falling for the persona he's about to play. It's a classic, textbook defense mechanism.
But literally back-to-back with that rigid warning, Maya pushes back. They're in a high-stakes meeting for Project Ethelgard, and she challenges his lead developer, boldly stating that an AI ignoring messy human nature is just a glorified calculator. Now, this moment is a critical turning point. Instead of being furious that she spoke out of turn, Elias feels this genuine, hungry pride. She's actively challenging his reality, not just decorating it.
Then, the narrative masterfully uses an environmental factor, a thunderstorm and a total power outage at the penthouse to completely strip away that billionaire facade. Sitting under emergency amber lights, they connect over cheap diner coffee, deep discussions on stoicism, and Thai takeout. Elias actually admits his deep exhaustion with his empire, and Maya just listens. She sees the lonely man beneath all the corporate machinery. Guys, they aren't just blurring the lines here, they are entirely erasing them.
Okay, now for the climax of our explainer. Stage 4, the contract leaks, also known as the Black Moment.
Things escalate so rapidly here. It all kicks off with an unscripted, highly possessive kiss at a gala, which is triggered when a rival tech heir brazenly flirts with Maya. That one authentic moment leads to a viral photograph syndicating globally. But then, the fatal blow hits. A rival firm leaks Maya's financial history and the actual, literal non-disclosure agreement to the press. Suddenly, the headlines are everywhere screaming about Elias's bought bride. Under intense pressure from his board chairman, Elias totally panics. He reverts straight back to his absolute oldest defense mechanisms, using cruelty as a shield. Instead of trusting Maya, he accuses her of being a gold digger who just wanted a payout, delivering this devastating calculated line about a waitress playing queen. Ouch, right? It's a total betrayal of the vulnerability they shared, effectively severing the relationship and forcing Maya right back to the gritty reality of the diner.
So how does the author resolve this massive mess? That brings us to stage 5, the grand gesture and massive sacrifice.
We really see Elias's total thematic evolution here. He realizes his polished, stable reputation just feels like ashes in his mouth without her. There's the stark, direct contrast between the empty, suffocating mausoleum of his corporate penthouse, the glass fortress, and the warm, vibrant reality he actually wants with Maya, symbolized by the kitchen island. He realizes he's successfully locked himself inside an impregnable fortress, sure, but he's completely alone.
To win her back, Elias doesn't just send a bouquet of flowers or offer some generic apology. No way. He actively dismantles the very empire that kept him isolated. He marches right into a board meeting, demands the chairman's resignation, sells his entire stake in Project Ethelgard, takes an immediate leave of absence, and literally abandons his bespoke suit to march directly into that chaotic, grease-spattered diner. Standing right in front of the diner register, completely ignoring all the staring patrons, Elias lays his soul bare. He delivers this raw, unscripted admission, confessing that cruelty is a shield. This moment perfectly pays off the fake dating trope. The man who optimized absolutely everything and valued cold algorithms finally trades it all in for the messy, irrational human emotion he once despised. As we wrap up this explainer, it leaves us all pondering a really fascinating thematic question about the true cost of ambition. We've watched Elias shed his corporate armor to find his humanity with Maya. But it asks us to reflect on our own lives. I mean, would you be willing to trade a sprawling multi-billion-dollar empire for a single, authentic connection? Perhaps, as this story beautifully suggests, the heaviest burdens we carry are simply the ones we refuse to let go of. Thanks so much for diving into this with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.